right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my counterpart and co-host, Joe DeLeone. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is understandably a time of year that is chaotic, but I got to be honest, Blake, it's fun talking about all these portal moves, and I'm excited to dig into some more. As yesterday, we got a nice little taste, and now we're starting to ramp up with some of these decisions. These shows are fun. It's like we're doing free agency and for the NFL, getting to talk about new destinations for some of these guys that could be stars in 2026.
Yeah, and Joe, I will continue to repeat this. A lot of these guys who exploded on the G5 level, with some guys who were good at the P4 level, starting to go in, but the rich get richer and the others do not. And that is the interesting part about all of this is that, well, I've learned more about Old Dominion football and Kansas State football for the team that I cover outside of this in the last 2 days than I ever knew that I would know. So it is a lot like free agency, and there's been a lot of good players that I've been able to see over the last couple of days.
There's been a lot of crazy. So there's been so much so that I've missed a good number of them. I didn't realize that J.C. Brown just committed to LSU. So that was one that I completely missed.
J.C. Brown. J.C. Horn. You did it to me.
Yeah.
J.C. Brown has committed to LSU. That is a big one as well. Did you know that he had a 75-yard touchdown run against Arizona? I've watched more Kansas State football today than I have maybe in my life. That kid can really play. They've loaded up at receiver. Sam Levitt is on campus at the current moment. We'll see how that one goes. But they've loaded up at wide receiver. Who would have ever thought Lane Kiffin could get wide receivers?
Honestly, completely shocking. I mean, here, what I'll say this. With the group that he's assembled, even with not getting Nick Marsh, this might be his best receiving room that he's ever had, and he's barely been there.
And they're not done. Trey Wilson, I can report, is also on campus from Florida.
He didn't resign?
No.
Only Dallas Wilson did?
Only Dallas Wilson. Eugene Trey Wilson is currently, I'm not going to give you the exact location, but he is eating dinner in Baton Rouge right now, yes.
I don't know what he needs 5 receivers for, but they're going to have a lot of options.
Rebuild that room. They got to complete, and they're going to rotate all of them. Yeah. So, yes, J.C. Brown. You made me say J.C. Horn, but J.C. Brown does commit. Any thoughts on him, by the way?
I didn't do notes for him because I didn't know that this happened, but he's really gifted. This is a guy who could go on to become, I don't know necessarily first-round pick, but could be an early draft pick. This is a player who you just mentioned the long run that he had. He's explosive with the ball in his hands.
Yes.
I mean, there's just a lot of juice with a kid like that. He's a yard after catch kid. It's just another layer that you need to your receiver room. And you just talked about how you got to rebuild the room a little bit.
Well, they had 2 wide receivers. I mean, this offense for LSU is completely depleted.
Right. They needed to start bringing in some new body types. And I think that Brown could be one of these guys next year that at the end of the season, we're looking back at the stat leaders and we're going, what? He had 1,000 yards. He had 900 yards. He's a really explosive kid who could quite possibly be the most underrated addition. I know he's the 3rd-ranked kid in the portal on 3, but could be one of the most underrated pickups.
Position, right.
Yeah.
Look, exactly how their Ole Miss room is built right now is exactly how they're building it at LSU. Go figure. So you got Jackson Harris that I think has serious untapped potential out of Hawaii. I think Lane and George McDonald have done an elite job. They're also going to be going after some other players. They need some offensive linemen. Sam Levitt's there. In reference to J.C. Brown, I think the vertical presence of him, but I think today when I watched him so much, the way that at his size he's able to release off of people that try to jam him, yep, I think is probably the biggest thing that stood out to me. I'll talk about that a lot tonight with him. But that was really impressive because he's 6'180", and you couldn't tell. You can't really tell because he gets off so fast. So another big addition for Lane and company. Maybe Ole Miss fans need to chill out with my mentions. That's all that I know. But we will get to a lot of people, Joe, here today that have committed to teams. Hollywood Smothers, Jadan Baugh going back to Florida, and Bryce Underwood is staying at Michigan. Byrum Brown has also committed. He is going to Auburn. We'll talk about all of those. And the calendar for college football is going to be changing, so we'll touch on that as well. Everyone do us a favor, though, by hitting the like and share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every Ruffino and Joe show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app today. If you're on iPhone and or Android, you can download the apps there. If you're in the great state of Missouri, it is active and live in the great state of Missouri now as well. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, go to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. And you can join Joe and I as we're going to be betting on all of these playoff games or the last 2 playoff games, really 3 playoff games, and the NFL, which we don't talk NFL here, but let's just be real, Joe. We're going to bet on those 2.
Yep.
So do it with our good friends over at FanDuel. And by the way, your boy's getting fiber internet this week. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. You know, we got hit by a Category 5 hurricane, and they try to put duct tape on everything. And I have to make a phone call. I didn't even think we're going to be live today. They're doing the work from 12 to 8 a.m., and yet here we are, and hopefully they don't get started at 8:30 while I'm still live on the other one. But it is a great time because football is going to be on the tube, new internet. Here we go, man. Off to a great 2026 season.
Yeah, off to a great 2026. And if you want to have a great start to your year, if you're a business owner.
If you own a business, right?
Exactly. You want to head on over to ZipRecruiter. If you're trying to hit your new goals and you're looking to expand, there is no better resource than to turn on over to ZipRecruiter to conquer any challenges that you have for the upcoming year. Right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can instantly unlock top candidates' contact information as well as all the info that you need to make the right decision. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get quality candidates within the first day. See for yourself. Just go on over to ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that is ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Oh, James Peoples just committed to Penn State.
Shit. Okay.
A lot of action that's happening here, Joe. But yes, if you do have a business, go over to our good friends over at ZipRecruiter. Joe, let's get into this because a lot of retention has been going on here over the last couple of days. None bigger than the Bryce Underwood news. Bryce Underwood announces that he is going back to Michigan after the coaching change. A lot of speculation of what was going to happen with Sharon Moore. Kyle Whittingham comes in. What are your thoughts of Bryce Underwood making the announcement that he is going to stay at the University of Michigan?
Blake, this news yesterday coming out at the end of the day, this was massive. This is something that we talked about. This is the biggest domino, and it's almost non-news because he decided to go back to Michigan. So it's not really getting the pub that I think it deserves. Bryce Underwood publicly stating that he is going back to Michigan locks in the fact that he will not be in the portal and that these teams that would have dropped everything. There's a lot of teams that are in the hunt for quarterbacks right now that would have said, no, we're good. We're going to go after Bryce Underwood. The fact that he is returning completely alters the landscape, but we're not going to see any of those results because he is staying. Like, first and foremost, though, for Michigan, this is transformative. I don't think enough people outside of Michigan really recognize his impact for the growth of this team, especially under Kyle Whittingham. In a rough year in that first year under Sharon Moore, they needed a star player that was going to continue to build the buzz around the program to get them back on track. If he goes on to live up to his potential, not only does it help Michigan, it helps Kyle Whittingham build a really, really solid foundation. But the absolute biggest part with all this, if he entered the portal, a lot of guys probably would have come with him. Because if you're in a locker room and your leader decides, I'm out after all this drama, why would you stick around and wait to find out what was going to happen with the new coach. Huge for but other schools offer money these days too. So,
Right, I know.
if you could have gotten offered a better deal at a program that wasn't going through coaching turmoil, maybe you would have taken it. But this is massive for Whittingham, and I think it should make Michigan fans feel a lot better about their future. It should make them feel pretty secure knowing that, hey, he got the first job done. He got the first important move done. Now let's see what the results end up being on the field.
And it moved rather quickly. I forgive me for what TV show or whatever podcast that Whittingham was on. I saw the clip. So I think it might have been Barstool or Wake Up Barstool maybe. And he had announced that Whittingham had announced that Underwood was going to be making an announcement shortly, and he makes it the whole night, and everybody's kind of freaking out, during the day about it. But here's the thing that when I look at Bryce Underwood, Joe, that I see. It is a massive deal that Bryce Underwood is going back to Michigan. I think people look at what happened this season with Bryce Underwood having 11 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a pair of rushing touchdowns. They see the 60% completion percentage, and they're like, is this dude really hyped up to what everyone made him out to be? And I look at him and say, he is a freshman that is thrown into the wolves with an offense and a team with a head coach who was suspended in the early of the year because of off-the-field actions to start the season. He was going through turmoil during the season, and we're supposed to act like that he was supposed to be doing better than what he did. It's ironic that the best games that he had is when Sharon Moore wasn't there. That's what I look at. There is going to need to be growth that I will touch on with him in just a minute. But he has every ability. He's got the size. He has the arm strength. He has the mobility. I think he has and is going to gain the awareness of what a true quarterback needs to be, especially in the pocket. He is young, and he is going to have to learn, and he is learning. With him this season, to take that next step, there are a couple of things here. Jason Beck being their offensive coordinator, I think transcends to where he's going to go. Mm-hmm. I like Jason Beck a lot. Joe, I thought that they brought Utah into the 21st century for what it's worth offensively. He is very innovative of getting athletic quarterbacks on the out of the pocket to the edge and making them really make 3 decisions. Either you're going to hit the corner, you're going to hit the flat, or you're going to run it. He did it with Dampier. They got to be more dynamic at wide receiver, and that's something that they're going to have to work on. But I have a lot of faith that Jason Beck, more than Sharon Moore, can get him there. He has got to, though, and Bryce Underwood, he must. He's going to have to work on his fundamentals. Just go look at the Texas game. I know that there was a viral clip that went out there on his footwork and some of the inaccuracies. He's got to work on that. Again, has every ability in the world. He is going to be better next season than he was this one. Footwork has to be better. Decision-making has to be better. But I did not Joe, we came into the season and we talked about this before the season even started. We said he's going to show you insane flashes. He did. And like every freshman quarterback, he's going to struggle. What happened? Exactly that. So now he's got to get into the offseason and work on those footwork fundamentals so that he can take that next step. And you got to go get him weapons too.
I think overall, yeah, you got to get him weapons. Marsh coming back is intriguing. This is also another part with this. I just talked about how it's massive for keeping guys on the team. They're a little late in the process because they haven't really been in the mix for any of these big name guys, but whoever else is out there, go in and put all your attention towards bringing in some additional receivers. Marsh is clearly your number one. He is a guy who can be an 1,000-yard receiver for the next couple of years before he makes a jump to the NFL. But you got to find some secondary and tertiary options, and it's been something that has plagued Michigan for some time now. And also, kind of something that's plagued Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham has not had a lot of great receivers that have come through that Utah program. It's been a struggle that we've talked about every year when we have projected and predicted what Utah was going to do. But I like what you bring up here with Beck. It's kind of crazy that they had Dampier, who's, Mighty Mouse, small, he's fast. And now you've got the gigantic version, not directly, but you've got a gigantic elite athlete that can be utilized in that system. I think that there's going to be a lot more things that they're going to be able to do that we haven't seen. You have some limitations when you've got a guy like Dampier who's inconsistently accurate. You're right. He's got to work on his feet, but I would bet on an improvement from him, assuming he puts the work in the offseason, because it was a really nice start for a true freshman. If that jump happens in the system and they get two solid receivers to add to the mix, Michigan 2026 can be Michigan's year. It absolutely can be.
Well, and here's the thing, too, with Dampier. He went from a 57% completion percentage guy in the Mountain West to a 64% completion percentage guy in the Big 12. That is number one, that's a massive leap. But here's the biggest leap that Jason Beck, and I know that he was with him at New Mexico, and it's a different deal. But in the second year, and this is the key thing that I look at, in the second year that Dampier was with Beck, Joe, he had 12 interceptions in year one. This year he had 5. So he grew better in being 7% more better in completion percentage, and then he grew by not turning the ball over 7 more times in a tougher conference. He threw the ball a little bit less. He threw for a little bit less yards, but he also ran the ball more. He also did a lot more. His touchdowns were down from a rushing perspective. He ran for 10. He ran for 19 the year before. I get all of that. It's a different conference. But as a passer, we've seen Beck be able to mold that quarterback position. Bryce has got to be a part of this. Again, it is a big deal in reference to retention, and you're right, retention for your overall team. I don't know if they're going to bring in receivers for him. I still think they're going to need to build. I even think next year could still be a struggle there a little bit as well. They're going to be more innovative. But Bryce had some guys open against Texas and flat out missed. He flat out missed. The footwork is a big deal. You can't just use your athletic ability in this league and always convert. Off-season work, off-season work, off-season work. He's got to work on his footwork. And Joe, again, he's going to be one of the premier guys in all of college football next year. He's that level of talented, and I think that he's going to be able to do it. And here's another thing. Beck is going to use his legs, meaning Underwood's legs, more than what Sharon Moore did a season ago, and I think that's going to benefit him.
Yeah, that's the kind of last part with this. It didn't – Underwood was used as a runner, but it did kind of feel like at times –
Biff was the one that used him as a runner. Sharon did not.
It was something that was talked about heavily at the beginning of the year where, hey, why aren't they just letting him go be free and go be himself and go be an athlete and go win? He's been compared to Cam Newton 100 times. You want to know what Cam Newton did really well? He ran through people. He ran past people because he was the biggest, strongest athlete on the field every single time he stepped on the field.
Yep.
I think that Beck is going to be able to activate that part of him, and that's where this jump in 2026 comes into play. I feel like knowing the fact that he's got 2 more years of eligibility to start, it makes me feel pretty optimistic that they can get back to a national championship in the next 2 years.
They're going to have to really build and build quickly.
Yep.
I still don't think he has the weapons.
Not at the current moment. No.
Being a couple-year build, but he can definitely take a leap here. All right, let's move on. Joe, Hollywood Smothers, the NC State running back, is committing and has signed with the University of Alabama. Last night, you talked about Alabama needing to sign multiple backs. What are your thoughts on Hollywood Smothers What are your thoughts on Hollywood Smothers committing and signing with Alabama?
Yeah, this is massive. As quickly as they were able to jump in on one of the top available running backs. We said this 100 times over. Their running back room was so problematic. Daniel Hill is a really good, big-bodied, short yardage guy. He is perfect in goal line situations. He's 240 freaking pounds. Jam Miller did some nice things, but he can't stay healthy. But the biggest problem with all this, Blake, is they averaged 3.5 yards per carry. They were 101st in EPA per rush. They did not have any explosiveness at running back. Smothers is a guy who's averaged over 6 yards a carry multiple times. And I'm not just spitting numbers. Go watch the kid's highlights. Got a little banged up this year, but the kid has juice. The kid can kill you in space. I think that now having a player like that in the fold of a running back room that was young and getting better, that they couldn't turn to some of these young guys like Deere and other players that were getting some touches down the stretch, to be able to have a guy with this much juice, I think helps take them towards the direction of that they're trying to get to. It doesn't solve every problem because their offensive line's got to play better. The interior of their offensive line has to get better. They're losing Parker Brailsford to the NFL, but this is at least a step in the right direction of them addressing their biggest problem and their biggest weakness.
I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that they did not need running back help with the injuries that they had there, with certain things that they had issues with. I just don't disagree with you at all that they didn't need a back. Now, as we're currently talking, Michigan true freshman offensive lineman Caden Strayhorn has also committed to Alabama. 6'3", 318 pounds. He has 4 years of eligibility left. So I'm going to bring that into this because it goes a part of my take. I look at Hollywood Smothers as an example, and I see the Virginia game of last year. I see the Wake Forest game of last year. One game he had 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. The other he had 164 yards. He can be a bell cow back. He has shown in NC State that he can take majority of the carries, put a team on his back, and really have a lot of success. However, their run game and with that can complement Daniel Hill. And I like that combination of Smothers and Hill being able to be with one another. However, Joe, their problem has not been at running back in the sense of, like, that. You're right, they didn't have explosiveness. I know what you're saying. You're not wrong. But it's the interior of that offensive line that's got pushed around the last 2 years. And I wonder with some of the guys that it feels like Kalen DeBoer is cutting loose. You're bringing in Strayhorn from Michigan. He's an interior player. Can he come in and can he get snaps? Can he be in that guard center role? We'll see. But my question becomes, are you going to fix that interior of your offensive line? Now, you have some guys that have left. Formby left. You've had others declare or hit the portal. I get all of that. But, Joe, those guys that are going to be stepping in were backups for a reason. And I really question Alabama's intent to rebuild an offensive line room that, quite frankly, has struggled. We've gotten arguments with Bama fans over the last couple of years. Hey, man, when you can't run the ball, you're not going to win. You're just not going to. Jalen Milroe in year one, in the last year of Nick Saban, at moments and times couldn't throw a pass to save his life. But you dominated in the run game and you won the SEC and you were a play away from knocking off the national champion that year in the Michigan Wolverines. Now you're in the 120s in rushing. That's not a running back issue. That is an offensive line issue. I'm glad they got Hollywood Smothers. He's a really good back. But, Joe, I also look at the Miami game. He had 7 carries for -2 yards. And you could say, well, Blake, NC State, they don't have the dudes that Alabama does along their offensive line. Well, that might be true. But Alabama was 120th in the country in rushing. Your dudes weren't good either. So I say all that to say, is Hollywood Smothers a really good back? Without a doubt, without a question, Joe, I'm right there with you. He can, if given the opportunities to ball out, he can. He is a bell cow worthy back. But I see this and say, is that what you thought your problem was in the run game? Because if Kalen DeBoer believes that the running back position was the problem, boy, do I got something to tell him. Because the interior of your offensive line got dominated, and you got to fix that, and you got to fix that now. Maybe Strayhorn coming in is a big part of fixing that to start off with.
Okay, I don't disagree with you, and that was why I said the interior of their O-line does need to be better, and that was contributing to the fact that they weren't getting push when they needed to. But Blake, at a certain point, though, I think we got to recognize that they just didn't have the bodies that were going to produce. Even if they did block better in the interior, I didn't think that running back room was very threatening. I didn't. I think that they could have been better and been more productive. The running back position, as long as you've got good blocking, you could put up big numbers. There definitely needs to be a better intent in the interior. There totally does. But it's important that the first thing that they did in the portal was go and get a running back. That to me is, if you had dicked around and you had waited and you had ended up getting boxed out by other teams, which we're going to talk about a team in a second that just lost out on a guy that was expected to enter the portal but decided to stay. Not to spoil my take that I'm about to have in a second. If they got boxed out and they ended up having to go really far down the list, I think Alabama fans would have been awfully pissed off. And they would have been frustrated knowing that was their most glaring issue. And they didn't do the first step in fixing it, which is adding a running back. I think that, again, you make up a good point. Got to be better at blocking in the interior. Do they think that they've got guys in the wings that are going to step up? Does someone like Strayhorn end up being somebody that starts? Are they going to try and also bring in other interior players? It has to be addressed. But having that first step accomplished, I think, is a positive step in the right direction.
Hold on. You're right. It is a very positive step in a direction that they need to turn to. Hollywood Smothers is not going to fix your run game if that offensive line does not get with. And so that's the part of look, are there bodies along the interior of the offensive line in this portal class that maybe they just didn't think could play? Maybe, but you know who did? A&M. And they outspent you. So look, man, we'll see. I love Hollywood Smothers. Is there a better name than Hollywood Smothers?
It's a great name. It's an absolutely great name.
It's a fantastic name. But at the same time, Joe, unless this kid goes off and just breaks every tackle and he goes full Bo Jackson, they're going to have to have a massive offseason. Now, is there a opportunity for them to do like what Georgia did? Georgia couldn't run the ball. That whole offensive line just put their head down and went to work. Maybe so. Very well could be happening there. But they're going to have a massive offseason for Hollywood. What I like the most is I felt like they rotated way too many times at the back position. Daniel Hill is a great complementary back to what they want to do. And he wasn't ready. He's not ready, but he performed. He did some good stuff. He's not ready to be an every down back. What happens there? I guess we'll wait and see, but you do get Hollywood Smothers. I feel like I'm shitting on the addition of him when I'm not trying to. But I don't like why aren't you trying to bring interior offensive linemen is my question. I know you just got one, but that kid's never played. Strayhorn redshirted this year. He hadn't played yet. So we'll see. Joe, another running back that is going to be staying with his team is Florida running back Jadan Baugh, who had a great year. Maybe not the year that he thought that he wanted to have with the success that he had, that his team needed. But Jadan Baugh a very, very big win for Summerall and company, retaining Jadan Baugh. I think personally, he's my favorite back in college football right now. I think he's actually the best. If I'm just being blunt, I think he is the best running back in college football right now. They hold on to him. What are your thoughts about him staying at Florida?
Yeah, this is a rare type of an athlete that you can have at running back in Jadan Baugh. Having a guy of his size with the juice that he has, it is, you talk about a workhorse. I mean, he really can be a guy that takes a lot of carries. And we saw that even when they were struggling offensively, he was a bright spot.
Yeah,
it wasn't him. He kept them alive. He had a lot of big plays that propelled them forward. I don't mean to take this away from Florida, but I got to be honest with you. Do you know where my thought immediately goes with this? When he was rumored to enter the portal, he was rumored to want to go to Texas. Texas is SOL. Texas has had 4 guys enter the portal. 2 top guys. One was a very big recruit in Cedric Baxter.
Time.
What the hell are you supposed to do?
Time. They went after Jadan Baugh and Kawan Lacey and missed. Yes, you heard the second.
Wait, and also Isaac Brown.
And missed. And they told Isaac Brown that we're going somewhere else, and Kawan Lacey resigned. Listen, people are going to say I'm defending Lane Kiffin here. It wasn't LSU that was after Kawan Lacey as much as LSU was. It was Texas that was throwing out serious money for him. So not to interrupt you, but they missed on 3 backs, Isaac Brown, Kawan Lacey, and now we're talking about Jadan Baugh.
Well, this is my whole point.
What's going on with Sark, bro? What is going on? We might need to do a whole segment with that, but continue. Sorry.
Well, no, but that's the whole. That is the segment. That's what we're talking about here. Is that you're kind of acting like you've got these high expectations going into the upcoming season. You push multiple guys out that would have been impactful for your team that struggled a little bit this year. What the hell are you expecting to turn to? Caleb Hawkins committed to Oklahoma State, who was the number 1 guy. Smothers to Alabama. Wisner left to go to Florida State. I do not see anybody that is in these running back rankings that's still available that makes me feel like, that's the kid. That's the kid that they need to invest in. Unless it's a kid that hasn't.
What's the kid from Arizona State? What's the kid from Arizona State?
Raleek Brown or Kanye Udo. But Raleek Brown is fine, but I don't – he's small. He's compact. I don't know if that's a guy that you can have take over your primary share of carries when you had Wisner and Baxter, who were a little bit more contact-based.
Yeah. Look, in reference to Florida and retaining Jadan Baugh, I know that he got 220 carries, but they still misused him. In the beginning of the year, they didn't give him enough touches. He was running for well over 5 yards a carry. When DJ Lagway went into Baton Rouge and threw 5 interceptions, they had a Jadan Baugh 85-yard wheel route touchdown that got called back. Joe, he didn't touch the ball for 21 straight plays after that. He got misused. No, actually, he didn't get misused. He didn't get used enough. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run in between the tackles. He can get to the perimeter with speed and power and break tackles. There is nothing that Jadan Baugh can't do. I got to be blunt with you. I know Kawan Lacey is great. He is a top 3 back in all of college football. He's not the best. Isaac Brown is not the best back in college football. The best running back in college football is number 13 for Florida. Everything that he does, he reminds me of a bigger, juiced up pause. I want to say Maurice Jones-Drew, because they run with low pad level, they get square, but they can do everything well. He is elite. I was talking to an LSU player after the Florida game, and he goes, dude, in pass protection, we ain't faced a back like that. Even then, he does everything well. Joe, I think next year he's a top 25 pick in the draft. Right now, I think if he sat out, he'd still be a top 25 pick. I think he's that good. And you know what John Summerall wants to do? He wants to run the ball right. He wants to run the ball left. He wants to run the ball right up the middle, and he wants to play good defense. Boy, how many touches are you about to get? And you get to stay at Florida with a head coach who is determined to win there, and you are going to be able to be around that. I think he's a top 10 player in college football. I really do. Whatever dollar amount he asked, I just said, okay, well, I'm throwing a couple 100,000 more on top of that because you're that good. Joe, this season he had 220 carries for 1,170 yards and 8 touchdowns, and they could barely score. Everything that he did, every game that they were in was because of him. This is a massive retention piece, and good on John Summerall to get the money that he needed, to get the support that he needed to hold on to his best player in Jadan Baugh. In reference to your thought about Texas,
yeah,
I got to be blunt with you. I think Sark needs to take a step back. I do. From the offensive side of things, he hired Jabbar. Here's the crazy part. He hired Jabbar Jalouk, who was Jadan Ball's running backs coach, and you missed. You went after a kid in Kawan Lacey, who's from the state of Texas, grew up a Texas Longhorns fan, and you were the team that went after him more than LSU did and missed. Something's up with Sark, and I know that there's a lot of rumors that fly out there about him. You can land Cam Coleman. You got to fix your offensive line. You got to fix the interior of your offensive line, I should say, and, well, I guess exterior too. Goobs be coming back is a big deal. But, man, what is going on with your run game? What is going on? Basically, Jadan Baugh just told you, just because you hired my running backs coach doesn't mean I'm leaving. And that's why they did it. And they've missed on both backs. They better hit on some of these kids because, I mean, look, man, Arch needs a good run game, and right now he doesn't have it.
Well, and I'll add this layer too.
Trey Wisner. Trey Wisner's a good back.
Right. You push out these two, him and Baxter. Blake, here's the biggest part with all this. If they don't get Cam Coleman, we need to have a serious conversation. You come into the offseason, and the expectations are high. You end on a really bright note. Arch Manning finally is playing to his potential, and the vision is in front of you. Going to a national championship is attainable, but you needed to address certain areas. You're supposed to be one of the best offenses in the country, and you have arguably the best quarterback in the country leading it. If you don't get Cam Coleman and you miss out on all of the top running backs, it is a serious bad omen. It is a bad omen for what might be coming. And I'm not trying to imply that everything is going to collapse, but that shit can't happen. If you're a team that is trying to go on a championship run, you got to meet the moment and you got to go and get the biggest guys. It feels like they're going to end up getting Cam Coleman, but at the same time, unexpected decisions end up changing at the last second. Like we just saw with Nick Marsh, for example. Nobody knew anything about Indiana until the very last moment. So they got to go get Coleman, I think, to calm any nerves that might be coming around this Texas program.
Yeah, you got to go all in now because, I mean, I know you're on the kid. What's the kid from Arizona State again?
Raleek Brown
was, I mean, he's a good back, but like you said, I mean, he had a good game versus Mississippi State. But, I mean, that whole Arizona State team's leaving.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think
smart move, Kenny.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm hearing that Kenny Dillingham needs a new medical staff because I think they're misdiagnosing players so that they could play. And I think kids found out about it when they started getting second opinions. And I think the age of Kenny Dillingham, I think that, and him telling players that they need to tough it out and stuff when, I'm going to leave that alone. But do your medicals, kids. That's all I'm gonna say here. All right, last one before we get to some other things here. By the way, Keon Keeley, dun 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 dun, is going to be making a trip to Notre Dame.
I have no comment.
Why? It's public.
I have no comment. I was told I can't talk about this.
Oh, okay. Well, look at all Marcus Freeman.
Well, but you got to just to very quickly chime in on this. You got to remember who he committed to. I spoke to Keon back when I worked for Irish Breakdown, and okay. So this is somebody just texted me. Yeah, it's obviously he's visiting tomorrow. He would commit when I talked to him when he committed. He didn't talk once about Brian Kelly. He spent the whole time talking about Marcus Freeman when he was the DC. So I think that means something.
Yeah, I mean, and the kid came on late, and let's see if Notre Dame blueandgold.com is the one reporting that or Mike Singer. I'm not,
Yeah.
forgive me, I don't know who that is. Mike Singer's the one
Yeah.
reporting that he is going there as well. All right. Byrum Brown is committing to Auburn and signed with Auburn. The former South Florida quarterback is following his head coach, Alex Golesh, to South Florida. Joe, what are your thoughts?
This is, I mean, frankly, expected. If he was going to have eligibility, it made a lot of sense why he would end up following his coach to Auburn. Byrum Brown has been a guy that just in the NFL draft world has been a little bit of a darling. I don't think that he's ever necessarily going to be a guy that makes the true jump to being a first-round pick, but he has a lot of tools. He is a very, very gifted athlete, and he's also been consistently dominant. 7,690 yards and 61 touchdowns with 2,200 rushing yards in his time over the last 4 seasons. He also completed 66% of his passes last year, 3,100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of makes me feel like a John Mateer type of a pickup, where Mateer dominated at Washington State, had a really good year. Some inconsistencies, but had a really, really good year. And you saw the tools, you saw the athleticism, you saw the playmaking ability, and he goes and gets a chance to play for a team that desperately needed him. Desperately needed him. Having an athlete like Byrum Brown who start things off here at Auburn is huge for Golesh, especially with all the bleeding that was happening of losing Deuce Knight, who would have worked really well within his system, and Cam Coleman leaving in addition to that. Byrum Brown's a really good pickup. It's going to be an underrated one because it was kind of just expected. It's kind of like the Drew Mestemaker pickup where everyone just assumed he was going to go to Oklahoma State. I love this for Auburn, that they're going to have some juice going into year one.
So I'm going to say this. Don't judge what I'm saying. It's a really good bridge quarterback because I don't think Auburn right now can get to where they want to go. I'm going to throw this out there. Everybody's looking at Lane Kiffin about this. It's actually been Matt Campbell and Alex Golesh that's took all of the players from their former team and brought them with them. And everybody keeps saying, oh, Lane's tampering. What in the world did Golesh and Matt Campbell do? I'm going to leave that there. I agree with you on the thought process of Brown being a John Mateer level ad because we saw him walk off into Florida against a really good defense and pretty much expose them. My question will be, do they have the explosiveness offensively to be able to do a lot of really good things in the SEC week in and week out year one? The thing for me that I look at with him that is something you just can't teach is his running ability that can get them out of bad situations. I think he's going to do really well. He can do really, really well in the SEC. Cam Coleman no longer there. Singleton, I'm really intrigued to see what happens here with Golesh and company and everything that they're doing. I think Brown's a really good quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see how he does week in and week out in the SEC because I don't know how much I trust that offensive line that gave up 10 sacks versus Oklahoma. I know a lot of that was Jackson Arnold, but not all of it was Jackson Arnold. So you have massively upgraded over the last 2 years at quarterback, really the last 3 years. This is the best quarterback that Auburn's had the last 5 seasons. And it's a kid coming from South Florida. He's going to do well. I don't know, Joe, I don't want to cop out on this. I just don't know what to really expect from him. I don't know if he gives you a John Mateer level run, but I think it could be relatively close to that.
Yeah, and to kind of clarify here a little bit, I'm not necessarily implying that he's going to come in and take them to the college football playoff.
They're not getting to a college.
Not what I'm getting. Year one, no. But what I'm getting at is he's comparable in the sense of he's a kid that was really productive and was really dynamic, that was a really good athlete, that elevated his team. that was a big reason why his G5 program was really, really good. And I would have argued a lot of teams out there would have loved to have had Byrum Brown. A lot of teams right now that they're in the mix and want to compete in this upcoming year would have loved to have had a guy who's been as productive, as experienced as Byrum Brown. John Mateer got Oklahoma to a playoff when nobody expected them to. I don't know what other program that necessarily would have been because it felt expected that he was going to go to Auburn. So this is just good for Golesh for his first year leading the program, that he's going to have a guy that he can trust. It all kind of comes down to who does he turn to? Who does he get next? Who is the high school quarterback that he's going to try and bring in and to build around? Those are the things that then need to be answered. But to have somebody you trust right off the bat is good.
You hit something massive there about having a quarterback that knows the system. During the summer, during the spring, when you can't have contact with players from a coaching perspective, who better to know exactly what Alex Golesh wants more than a quarterback that's been with him? He is probably, for the Golesh tenure at Auburn, look, they're going to get a lot of really good players. Don't hear what I'm saying wrong. The reason I call him a bridge player is because he can teach everybody what they need to do in this system as they are building. So I think it's a great addition. I think he's going to be able to make a lot of really good plays for Auburn, and we'll go from there. I'm just kind of meh. I'm kind of like, yeah, I need to see Auburn outside of him do some stuff. So we'll see.
That's fair.
Another one, a former Auburn quarterback, Ashton Daniels. Let's get him really quickly. Thoughts on Ashton Daniels and his move? You want to get to him or no?
I'm completely blanking on where he landed. Where did he
Florida State.
Okay, sorry, I had a complete brain fart.
But Ashton Daniels is going to Florida State with Gus Malzahn and company. You know the whole thing that they were talking about, Cam Newton, the whole little.
Yeah, it's a good fit. It's kind of depressing that all the aggressiveness that they had going after DJ Lagway, and it feels like that if you're bringing in Daniels, you don't think that you're going to get Lagway. I don't know how much this really truly elevates Florida State. We saw what they were able to do with Castellanos this past year in that system. You've got a similar level of athlete with Daniels coming in, and that you're gonna be able to get really good production, and you're probably going to take a little bit of a step forward offensively, especially seeing what Daniels did as a passer down the stretch when he finally got to step in and play. But this doesn't wow me to the degree that I feel like, oh my God, this is the saving move. If you brought in DJ Lagway and you got a lot out of DJ Lagway, that would have been completely different. That would have been a discussion point of like, hey, we went and got a blue chip guy, an elite player, and he needed the right system. He needed the right situation. He's got some good weapons to work with. He can reach his potential. We can reach our potential. Ashton Daniels takes this team from shit to slightly not shit.
Hot take.
Oh, man.
Florida State's kind of had a really good portal haul. Trey Wisner, Ashton Daniels. This is exactly what you get with Gus Malzahn, baby. And I got to be blunt with you. I like Ashton Daniels over Castellanos.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Getting Trey Wisner to do exactly what Gus Malzahn does. Oh, my God, I'm going to say it. You're going to make me say it. I freaking love what they just did with Ashton Daniels and Trey Wisner. Oh, my God, why am I doing this? I'm falling into the trap again. I'm falling into the Gus Malzahn trap again. Joe, this is going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to work. They run the ball so effectively. Trey Wisner's a really good back. So not only you're bringing him in, Joe, you're bringing in a guy who had Alabama on the ropes. He had Bama on the ropes. I think Ashton Daniels can play. I think Gus is going to get a lot out of him. If you can get what you got out of Castellanos, you're going to get it out of Ashton Daniels. I don't know what Florida State's going to do, Joe. They might fall flat on their face. They're going to do some good things offensively, though. And I don't know why. Look, you know why I love it? Because I spent a decade with my team going up against Gus Malzahn. And I know exactly how this goes. You're going to get your face run in. I don't care. Are they going to lose games? Yes. Is Gus going to do some silly stuff sometimes? Yes. They're just going to run the football so much, man. I love it. Sign me up.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I can't believe
is back, baby.
All right, now you're just trolling. Knowing how these conversations between you and I went in the past, it was the other way around where I was optimistic about the moves that they were making. It just feels like they're doing a lot of the same crap that they did in the past that didn't really work. Again, I like Daniels in the offense. I think that he fits with what Malzahn's trying to do. I think that Daniels got a lot of really good tools, and you talked about how the Alabama game, he also played really well against Vandy. But how much more elevated is this team? How much better is this team? I just don't expect them. What I'm saying this to say, are these the type of moves that return them to the expectation?
Oh, no.
The expectation to win. No, this gets them to 8-4.
I think they can get to 9-3.
If they don't completely collapse down the stretch, 9-3 is possible.
It's much better than 2-10.
I also look. I like Trey Wisner. I think he's been a solid running back in his career, and he's done some good things. But he's also not like a program-changing running back that completely redirects the. He's not Trey Benson, and this isn't Jordan Travis. These are two really solid, good players that, to a degree, were kind of cast-offs that were encouraged to go elsewhere, especially Wisner.
Well, I get that, but you know who also had cast-offs that were told to go elsewhere before the portal was a thing and Gus hits on? Like Tommy Castellanos, who got benched. Gus Malzahn. Another man's trash is another man's treasure, brother. And Boston College went 2-10. Maybe it's Bill O'Brien. Maybe it wasn't Castellanos. Throwing that out there. What do I know?
It's quite possible to have been what it was, but I don't know. I just generally.
Gus going to get some work out of these dudes, bro. Hear me and hear me now.
I don't think that they're going to make a big.
Where's TJ Pittenger when you need him?
Right. Seriously.
All right. Before we get out of here, Joe, was reported by Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports that the NCAA is looking into changing the calendar. We've all had massive discussions about this. Now the NCAA is looking to make those changes. Not a lot of details are coming out at the current moment about those changes, but SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey says he wants, and I quote, everything to move into February or March, and the portal potentially being in March and in April. Joe, when you hear and you see that the schedule may be changing on early signing day and the portal, what are your thoughts on that? And let me bring something else that got corrected on Ross. The change for the early signing day will not come, but you got to still do the special exemption to early enroll. But it seems like guys cannot sign through this new exemption until February if this is passed, going back to the old signing day. Joe, they're actually finally getting something right, but I hope that they're able to do the right thing here. Your thoughts on this calendar change with the NCAA potentially coming?
Yeah, we got to get this punched into the end zone first. It doesn't seem like this is 100% solidified yet, but the premise of the changes is promising, and it aligns with a lot of the things that people have complained about. I used to love having signing day in February. It was really cool getting to track and follow when the season was over, to just see all the names that were lining up and that were ready to go. It was its own standalone event. And the transfer portal obviously came around much later and hasn't really been a thing. But that being in May is far better for the sport because it allows for a much simpler process for transferring. You can't do it in the middle of the spring semester. It just would be too complicated. You got to do it at the end, and you shouldn't be doing it during the college football playoff when guys are still playing. Dave Doran in the article brought up how, why would I want to keep working with a kid who's just going to tell me he's leaving and I don't find out until last second? I think that at the very least, if a kid sticks around for another semester, maybe he might want to change his mind, and it gives you more opportunities to do so. The one little thing with this, too, that I thought about is I think that this is overall great for the sport, aside from the chaos, but for the coverage. The NFL dominates year-round discussions. Football and the NFL are built to control everybody's attention every single week out of the year. There's a short spurt in July where there's not much going on, but outside of that, you have free agency that lasts a long period of time. Leading up to free agency, there's buzz, there's rumors. The coaching carousel that's happening right now takes a couple of weeks. There's buzz, there's rumors. The NFL draft leading up to it, it is the most highly anticipated event that doesn't actually include games in any sport. College football getting to benefit from this, where the season ends a couple weeks later, fans can start getting excited about signing day. It's a lead up. They're not just getting it thrown in their lap at the end of the season as things are wrapping up. It's, wow, so-and-so could end up here. So-and-so could end up there. And then there's the full day where it unfolds, like the NFL draft. And just like with free agency, you can have the same exact thing happen at the end of the year, and you get May dominating everybody's attention as well.
You got to do it. You 1,000% have got to do it. Because if you don't do it, you continue to have the issues that you're currently having. And when you're currently having these same issues over and over and over again, okay, the problem that you keep running into is what you just had happen with Lane Kiffin and what they're currently going through at Ole Miss. So the portal has been a problem. It's a problem for players. Kirby Smart was the one that suggested that we do it this way, and Kirby doesn't care about the portal, so it doesn't matter to him, and he gets to have players that he gets from the high school ranks into the spring. Y'all don't want to do spring anyway, and I got another addendum that I want to throw in here.
Okay.
Here's another addendum. Make spring football not a thing anymore. You know what you can do? Why don't you do OTAs starting in June? And you give them 2 weeks out of 4 in June, 2 weeks out of July. Let them do OTAs and prepare for the opening season. And guess what's going to happen to your product? Guess what's going to happen, Joe? It's going to get better. It's going to get better. The NFL has done an elite job at building their schedule. Steal from it. Steal from it. That's an addendum that I would make. The other I would make is make everything in February unless you're going to early enroll, and you already have to get a special exemption from the NCAA to do it anyway, to enroll in spring. So keep that. If kids are going to early enroll, the only kids that can sign papers in December are those early enrollees. The only ones. So let that still happen. It takes a lot of pressure off of the coaches. Have everything in February, have the portal in March and April, and then do OTAs and mini camps in the summer. And, I understand coaches say, well, that makes our job year round. And what's your point? What is your point? Do you think NFL coaches don't have to do stuff year round? You're already hiring GMs.
Right.
GMs in college football now. So set a time and date where they got to be there. I get people want to be with their families, but some of you are making millions and millions of dollars and getting fired for millions and millions of dollars. Make the change and make the right thing happen here.
Yeah, I hope this gets finalized because it makes things easier for us. It makes things easier for the coaches. And I actually think it makes things more fun for covering the sport if the timeline looks the way that they're projecting it.
Agreed. Royce Pierce with a $20 super chat says, sorry, I've been missing the show, guys. Pop's in the hospital. Well, we hope that he's doing well.
Yeah.
But hey, I hope you guys have a great day and hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Been listening, but just not live. And Royce also gives 5 memberships to people in the YouTube channel. Well, I hope your dad gets better, Royce, and we're glad you're here, man. And
thanks so much, Royce.
And thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That's awesome. 5 more people in the Discord.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope your dad's doing better, but always appreciate it. Royce always brings the positive energy. We need more Royces in the world.
Yeah, and less Elkses.
Oh, come on. Don't be mean, Alex.
I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you, Royce. We greatly appreciate it, buddy. We'll see y'all
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. I thought today was Wednesday. Well, we'll see you Thursday, I guess, technically, too.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all then. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.